So we'll do the same process here, put a little bit of soil in the bottom there, and it's important to note when you're doing this, don't just try to pull that seedling out because it will be total. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having a fantastic day. It is Thursday, February 22nd here in South Georgia, and we finally managed to make a little room in the greenhouse here behind me. So today we're going to get back to some seed starting the way we know how to do it. Going to first try to save some of those leggy tomato plants. Then I've got a bunch of pepper seeds we're going to get started. We'll talk about the pepper varieties we're growing, and then hopefully at the end of the video I'll tell you some of the other stuff we're going to be planting in our spring garden this year. So where there's a will, there's a way. With all these baby fig trees in here, I managed to make enough room to fit one of these larger heat mats in here. I do have several of these. I have enough to daisy chain them together and cover the entire length of this bench right here, but not going to be able to make that much room. We did make room for one here, which is going to help us out a lot. I keep these things rolled up over there in the corner during the winter, so they have a little bit of memory to them. I had to put some heavy stuff on the end, some fig trees here, kind of straighten it out over the last day, but it should be nice and flattened out now. Now we're not done with freezing temps completely, but it's starting to warm up around here. I don't think we're going to have any real cold weather left. May have a few freezing nights left. So what I was able to do is take a few of those trays that I had in the greenhouse, trays of fig trees that are just starting to bud out, and put them on a pallet underneath the barn, and I've just covered them with a blanket a few times this week. We did get down in the mid to high 30s a few times. I just put a blanket over them and they were just fine. So that's how we were able to make some room. And as things warm up even more, we can move a lot of these fig trees outside the greenhouse and we'll have even more room. But back inside the greenhouse, this is that tray of tomatoes that we started in my office with the humidity dome on it. They germinated in about 3 days and got really leggy before we could move them out here. You can see some of them have recovered pretty well. Got some spotty germination in this tray as well. Some of them have stood back up. Some of them are leaning pretty bad there. So first thing on the list to do today, let's try to save some of those that are leaning really bad. So if you've got really leggy plants like this, you can save them. It's just a bit of a delicate process to do so. The ones that are really bad here is the Supremo grape variety. So I'm going to focus on those first. So we need to step them up into some larger pots and bury a lot of that leggy stem there, and roots should grow out of that stem and end up making a pretty strong plant, as long as, you know, we make the safe transition from this cell to this pot here. So these are 2.5 inch pots, nice sturdy pots. I'll put a link below where you can grab some of these if you want to give these a try. So we got some more Pro Mix right here. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of Pro Mix down in the bottom of this pot, not a lot, and then let's start trying to fish some of these out of here. These two here are pretty leggy, and I'll thin them out here in a minute once we get them safely into this pot. So got our stems there. Gonna try to just hold those up a little bit, and then try not to make too big of a mess. Just gonna try to support those as best as possible without breaking them. I probably could have planted them even a little deeper in there. I think I'll go ahead and thin one of these. So yank that one out and put a little bit more dirt around this one here. Like I said, this is nothing that's going to be done really fast. It's kind of delicate, but that right there should work. Now it's no longer as leggy as it was. Get some water on that, should end up making a really nice tomato plant. So I'm going to keep working here, stepping up these ones that are really bad. These over here look fine. I need to thin those out, but a lot of these will be just fine. Only probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 cells that I really need to step up. So let me go ahead and knock this out here, and we'll see what we've got. Alright, so I was able to save all 7 cells from that row of Supremo grape tomatoes. We have those over here in the little pink purple cups. And I think the only ones left I need to get, there's a couple of these Torrangina cherry tomatoes that probably need to be stepped up, and I probably got enough there left, enough for me, but these seeds are kind of expensive. I hate to just waste them like that. So there's 2 of those need to be stepped up. I like having different color pots because I kind of color code my varieties. Yeah, we got a label in there, but it just helps keep things separate. So we keep the grape tomato in the grape colored pots, and we'll put the orange cherry tomato in the orange pots. So we'll do the same process here. Put a little bit of soil in the bottom there, and it's important to note when you're doing this, don't just try to pull that seedling out because it will be toast. You really need something like a knife to kind of fish these out of here. These trays have pretty big holes in the bottom you could push up with your finger, but there's not enough of established root ball there to really do that. You have to just delicately fish them out with our knife. As long as you can keep that root ball somewhat intact, like that right there, should be fine. I'm gonna drop that down in there and kind of straighten it up a little bit. Another little trick here, if you can kind of hold that stem in the center, pinch it with your fingers like that, and then sprinkle the soil around it. It helps keep it kind of upright there. All right, so crisis averted there, and by later this afternoon we should see most of these little seedlings sticking straight up once they realize where the sun is at. Once these get their second set of leaves, we'll start fertilizing all of these with a little bit of AgriThrive every day. And for these right here, in a couple weeks, it'll be like nothing ever happened. You won't ever be able to tell that they started in here and got really leggy. So that'll be good. We'll just have a larger plant going in the ground out of these cups. These right here, we'll plant these right out of this tray. So we're back on track with our tomato seed starting. Now let's fool with some peppers. And I think I'm going to start my peppers in another one of these bootstrap trays. I bought a couple more of these the other day. JIC, if you know what I mean. Bad color choice on my part. Terrible color choice. Folks in Gainesville are probably loving that. But went ahead and got a couple more of these because I saw how well those tomato seeds, how fast they germinated under that dome, created a nice environment. I also don't really have room here for one of my big PropTech trays, so need to stick with these smaller trays here. I figured these would come in handy at some point. Also got a couple more domes there. Those are a little shorter, not quite as tall as that other dome I was using, but I think it will work. So hopefully with this and the heat mat, we'll be able to get these pepper seeds germinated pretty fast. Now I'm only going to need one of those trays for my peppers, but I was kind of thinking ahead to my seedless watermelons, which will start in another couple weeks. In the past I've used the saran wrap trick with the PropTech trays, and that works well, but I'm going to try this year using the humidity dome and those bootstrap trays for my seedless watermelons. I think it will work just the same like the saran wrap trick. We will see once we get those going in a few weeks. Now back outside here, let's talk about some of the pepper varieties we're going to be planting today before we actually get them in the tray inside there. Some of these seeds I had left over from last year. Hopefully they still germinate. Some of them I bought for this year. So start out with a bell pepper, my favorite, King Arthur bell. If you've never grown that one, man, it's a good one. I've tried a lot of different bell pepper varieties, and this one always gives us more fruits and bigger fruits. So sticking with King Arthur. Haven't grown any poblano peppers in several years, so I got a poblano variety here called Baron. Don't know much about it, but it looked good and said it makes some nice big poblano peppers, so we're going to try Baron. This one right here, this Italian hot pepper called Massilia, is one we grew last year. Really good performance out of that one. I don't need as many plants as I planted last year, but I got some seeds left over, so we're going to get that one going. This one here is another one we grew last year, a Serrano variety called Altiplano. I think that's how you pronounce that. Super impressed with this Serrano variety last year, so we're growing that one again. I always grow the Santa Fe Grand peppers, really like those for making hot sauce, but this year I tried, or I'm gonna try, a hybrid hybrid variant of Santa Fe Grand called Havasu. We'll see if it, you know, performs better than our standard OP Santa Fe Grand peppers normally do. And then this is another one we grew last year. I grew this for my friend Mark. These chocolate ghost peppers, they got huge. I mean, we had plants 5 foot tall. They look like just a big line of shrubbery in our garden. They really like our climate down here, so we're going to plant a few more of those for him. All right, back in the lab here, I've got this blue bootstrap tray filled with Pro Mix, got it moistened down, and I've already made some indentions in my blocks there. The one thing I don't like about these trays is the fact that you got to have something underneath them to catch all the soil that falls through when you're filling these up. So they do take a little longer to prep than the PropTech trays. And then you have to kind of poke the soil through those little air holes that sit between the cells. Now if you're doing this inside and you got to have a, you know, container to catch the soil anyway, not a big deal. But if you're out here in a greenhouse like me and just like to make a mess, you have to put something underneath them, or else you're going to waste a lot of seed starting mix. So I've got my labels already made here, and it doesn't really matter, but the way I usually like to do this is go from sweet to hottest across the tray. So let's see here, what's next? Probably the Poblano after the Bell, and then maybe the Serrano, and then maybe the Santa Fe Grand, and then the Massilia, and then Chocolate Ghost is definitely the hottest. Still got some real estate here. I don't know what we'll plant there, but I'll get something there. May just start some more tomato seeds. May get a few more of those Turkey Creek seeds going in some of these extra cells. So for these packets left over from last year, I'm going to just go ahead and empty out those packets, and I'll double plant some of these cells here just for insurance purposes. For the packets that I just bought, I'll probably just put 1 seed per cell. Those should germinate pretty well for me. There we go. All right, 1 down, 5 more to go. All right, so we got all our pepper seeds down. Ended up finishing out the tray with a couple more tomato varieties there, as if we need any more tomato plants. Now I mentioned to you the only thing I really don't like about these trays is these big holes here, which are supposed to be good because they air prune the seedlings or whatever, but it does make my process a little more aggravating. So before we put some perlite and cover these seeds, I got to put it down in one of those, or else I'm going to get perlite everywhere. Need to put some good old Go Dogs perlite on top of these seeds, get some of that gator stink off this blue and orange setup right here. Just going to lightly cover these up. And now that our cells are covered with perlite, we don't need this bottom tray anymore, because we're going to top water and just let it drip down. Now get one of our domes here. Hopefully it still fits with our labels. Oh, something ain't right there. Oh, I know what it is. Ah, you do gotta leave it in here. Look at there, I was wrong. So this dome only fits on top of those, not on top of the tray itself. So then maybe our labels will be bent over for a minute. Maybe I can stick them down in there a little further. There we go. Let's try that. Alright, now we cook them with grease. I'll go ahead and close off those vents there. Normally, if we weren't using a dome, we would water the top of that, or top of those cells really good. But with these domes, it doesn't seem like you have to, because you just create that moist, humid environment in there. So we'll crank up the heat mat, and hopefully we get some nice speedy germination here. As soon as I start seeing things popping, I'll take this dome off. All right, so we're back on schedule with our seed starting, and before we go, I wanted to share a few of the other things that you can expect to see us growing around here in the next few months. Let's start off with squash. I really like yellow straight neck squash, and these are 2 of my favorite varieties. Actually, we'll probably have these seeds on our website by the time this video airs. So Enterprise, which is one I've grown a lot, really good one, and then Grandprize here. I probably won't plant both of these at the same time. I'll probably plant one, and then for my second planting a squash, go with the other. I also have the Pantheon zucchini, which you get from Johnny's. Got some seeds for it as well. We really love that zucchini variety, so we'll be growing it again. And then as far as cucumbers go, I was able to find some Supremo cucumber seeds. It's been a couple years since I've been able to get my hands on that particular variety. I really like that variety, and so hopefully going to be growing that one again. I've also got Corinto, which is a parthenocarpic slicer, most productive cucumber I've ever seen. So we'll be growing Corinto again. And then as far as sweet corn goes, I chose a variety called Nirvana. It's another one of those augmented super sweet varieties that we really like to grow. We've grown Yellowstone, which was a yellow one, Eden, Solstice, and then Nirvana, I think, is bicolor. I gotta check to make sure I actually placed an order for those seeds. I had like 3 or 4 web browser windows open and order seeds from several different places, and I'm not sure I pressed the checkout button on one of them because I haven't gotten a shipping confirmation for my sweet corn seeds yet. So I need to check on that, but Nirvana is the one I'm planning on growing. And then lastly, I told y'all a while back that I really need to restock my freezer with butter beans or lima beans, whatever you want to call them. So we're growing this King of Garden lima again. I get these from Morgan County Seeds online. They're dirt cheap for a pound of these. I think $5 or $6. And this will put up tons and tons of lima beans. So we'll grow these on our arch panel trellis once it warms up a little bit more, and if they grow anything like they have grown in the past, we will be able to fill the freezer again. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and let me know in the comments below what varieties of peppers you're growing this year, and if you've got one that's a must grow, definitely tell me about it. As always, you can find a lot of the products we use around here, including those garden labels, on our website at lazydogfarm.com. And if you want to know more about fertilizing seedlings and why we do it the way we do it, why we use what we use, you can watch this video right here and we'll break down the process, tell you all about it. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.